Hi everyone. Back in June I started working on a video for what was then the latest update to the Chinook. This came as part of the core update, so DCS was at 2.9.17.11733 for completeness. Since then we've had a bunch of smaller updates, the latest dropping on the 13th of August, and that's the current one to date. So after enjoying a great summer, I thought it's that I needed to pick things back up, particularly this video, but to do so conscious that there's been a bunch of changes that have come in since. For the most part, they're tweaks to the avionics, so therefore in this video I'm going to focus on the areas where I think it will make the most difference to us players, and more of a general reference to the remainder, as I'll cover later on. Especially as many of the avionics tweaks that you'll see are things like perhaps a button's name has just been moved ever so slightly because it's overlapped, or something like that. Of the updates that we've had though, certainly the one kind of back in June is the largest, and that's where we're going to start. As far as June's update itself, we can essentially break it down into two parts. So the MFD side of things, and then the CDU updates, with, as I say, some extra little tweaks at the end of that one, plus the little updates that followed on after that one. Regards documentation updates, and this is something that in the forums, when I started this video off at the start of summer, there was a DCS forum user, Gabriel, asked the question of ED, basically, when are you going to update the manual, because we've had quite a few changes come through by now. At the time they said they were still kind of working on it. I checked the manual yesterday, so 14th of September 2025, and it's still the initial version, so we've had no sort of change in the manual. The other thing that was certainly picked up on the forum is that along with the changes there's also been sort of various bugs, some of which I sort of encountered as well, and they've been picked up on the forum. And it seems like in the following sort of smaller updates, some of the little sort of bugs and stuff have been fixed, but other ones have remained sort of extant. I mean, one of the ones that I did find particularly kind of frustrating was with the CDU update. There's one of them, and it just seemed to completely wipe out all of my keybinds, and I did notice that on some of the forum postings as well. So starting with the MFD updates then, and just as a reminder, we have got the four multifunction display units that you can see that I'm showing you on the screen here. In terms of changes, first we have the following. So implemented HSD Hover display mode. Now this is something which actually is and has significantly helped us as DCS kind of Chinook pilots when it comes to sling loading, troop insertion, extraction, etc. Because it means that you've got this increased situational awareness of where you are relative to a specific position, right? So introducing this polar type display is functional in both the full and half displays, as I'm showing you, and activated by the button which is there, and it shows as well. Works as well, yeah. So the update then goes on to say that the Hover ACP, and there's a tremendous amount of acronyms. Hover ACP in HSDH mode is displayed for the following flight plan leg types. So HOV STP LND, and this is all via the L6 bezel key. So those basically stand for hover, step, and landing. Okay, and again, I'm kind of showing you that on the screen here. Then we carry on. So the hover ACP can be set, so in other words, overridden to the current helicopter position via their L8 key, which you can see. And this can be used to predict the helicopter's performance at a particular hover point based on the data that you have inputted into the aircraft, such as gross weight, weather conditions, etc. So this is, it's certainly getting more into the sim side of things. It kind of moves it away, I suppose, from the I don't want to say arcadey side, but almost like going, well, I can pretty much just lift whatever I like and drop it on top of Mount Everest. Not that we've got it in the game, but it's not really having any negative kind of impact on it. So yeah, I mean, whether this kind of relates to the performance of the aircraft or whether it's just for the the information, the display perspective, I'd like to think it's kind of both. And then we move on. So if you want to change the scale on the hover display, we can do that. As you can see, you're going to use the L7 bezel key to do that. The next one, so it talks about implemented a flight plan, fuel and power page, which has got in an implemented leg data page. And in fact, in some of the later updates, there's a bit more that's gone into this leg data page as well. And it does talk about that some of the data fields themselves are kind of like a work in progress. Then it goes on to say, so the next kind of part of the update, so in our NRT mode on the HSI, so we've got a HSI here, the aircraft symbol now correctly rotates according to the helicopter's current heading. So it's a little kind of bug that's been fixed in that one. And then in the same mode, so NRT, the heading box now reflects the current heading value. It's also been updated that the heading display values range is now all the way from 1 degree all the way round to 360 degrees, and we have range rings in the half display format. And I certainly kind of find that useful for flying around as well. Next is they've fixed the incorrect behavior of the CDU flight plan data 1 page for step and land flight plan points. They don't they don't specify exactly what was the issue before. Maybe it's something that was picked up on the forums, and that they've implemented what they call default leg parameters assigned for step and landing flight plan pages. The final MFT update is that they've added available torque required values for engine instrument powertrain page, which adds to the authenticity of the simulator. As I mentioned, only just a minute or so ago, you can't lift everything with a Chinook and get away with it. And certainly this will help help you as a pilot determine what's possible and where. Although at the moment with only a center hook available, it's not really going to be that much of an issue, I don't think. And also, while I was doing my research on this particular topic, I found this interesting US Army safety article, which I'm just showing you on the screen. I'll also put the link for it in the description below. Which you might find that interesting, and it's talking about this very subjects in relation to flight safety, the handling of the aircraft, and it also covers some of the acronyms, because again, there's a tremendous amount and they may not be that kind of familiar to the regular sort of DCS player. Now we're going to move on to the control display unit, so the CDU updates. And before we start these, there are some noticeable bugs. As I say, they've tried to fix them in the subsequent kind of updates, but there's certain things which I kind of tried post this, and I was thinking, oh right, okay, this is going to work, and it ends up just breaking the things, right? So okay, so where you join us, it's in the dark here on the on the flight line at Kandahar. So let's kind of zoom in on this sort of CDU. I've got the list in front of me. It does involve a little bit of jumping around, so just kind of forgive me if I'm kind of chopping and changing, because I'm trying to follow a list at the same time, and you wouldn't normally obviously go through this kind of thing. You'd be doing a deliberate kind of activity, not kind of almost like selecting every page going. So in terms of the updates, then we'll just concentrate. We'll just use the number one CDU that we got here. So first one, it's talking about basically the EGI and the INU, both of those. So, and it's linked into this iNav page here. So if we click on the iNav page, essentially we got two kind of pages that are following on from that, and you can see the info for both for EGI. Got GPS on there as well. I mean, at the moment I'm just sat on the ground like the APU's running, and that's it. So in terms of the info that you're going to get from here, it's pretty basic, but you have got the two pages there. You can see the INU on the second page for that one. It's the update also talks about the EGI 1 and 2 and INU 1 and 2 position update as well. If we go back to here, if we go back to the index, because it's talking about from the start pages. So there's essentially the start pages has been updated. So there are two pages here. I've been actually sat on the ground for quite a while. But yeah, usual data that you'd expect on here, like present position, etc. And again, two pages that we've got, and yeah, it gives you the option basically to basically put it into a line, sources, things like that. And then we go back to the index page here. So the next one that it's saying that we changed. So we just did that start one. That's right. The next one it's talking about is the progress down here. Again, because we're not actually going anywhere at the moment, but it's got a flight plan plumbed in. But yeah, so you've got basically three pages here, loads of kind of information for if you love all this this side of the house of DCS, then yeah, you can be certainly kind of lapping all of this information up. And then let's see, it's in the next one we've got let's talk about the model subpage, which I'm pretty sure is like down the way. There we go. And then we click into that. So just one set of information on that one, and then we're going to go back to the index again, and then we're going to go back down to here. Oh yeah, and the mission page setup. So on this one, it is actually saying, all right, yeah, page one. It did actually talk about. Oh, I suppose yeah, because there's like nothing in there. That's why. But yeah, you can see how you can, once it's all kind of populated and things like that, you can select through there. But again, look, there's kind of a good example of where they started to put, they are putting information in and updates and things like that, but then you've got bits like that with sort of overlapping text and what have you for that one. And then so we go back to here, and then it wasn't in the model page, it was in the, see, I told you I'd kind of I get to this point here. So we have another group in terms of the maintenance side of things. So if like the maintainers are coming along and they want to perhaps replace some of the LRUs on the aircraft, then you've got the various kind of options here. For example, if you're replacing the EGI, this is so because the aircraft is relying on the information coming from it being like as accurate as possible. In the first instance, we need to know that the box itself, where it's essentially been installed in the aircraft, that it is, what is its actual position relative to the aircraft itself, if you see what I mean for that one. And then yes, the other bits that we've got, so it talks about status pages. So you got down here the status pages. So you can see there's 4 lots of these here. You can, for example, this CDU which you've got, so this so essentially this will be the data bus, like the information that's coming into it. So you can just basically sort of run a test or whatever to see how that's performing. Excuse me, from a status perspective. So they're saying that they've added it basically for, let's see, for both. Let me just go back to it. So you've got both CDNUs, but again, look, there's a little bit of text kind of still sort of overlapping there, look. But then you can go through all the different things, not just the CDUs, but you've got the MFDs as well. So there's various kind of things that, again, from that perspective. In fact, we've got four different pages. Again, look, there's things like text and things like that. Not all of this is working at the moment, which is fine. They're going to get there eventually. You see that one's kind of taken us to here. AFCS wise, look again. There's still, there's still plenty of work for them to do on this perspective here. But it's good, it's good that we have sort of seen these updates. And if we'll go back to the main kind of graphic here that's come out of the manual, and you can see basically how they're slowly kind of building all the different options that come out of this this particular item, which is good. Now, I did debate with myself whether to cover each and every change since the major June update, as I mentioned at the start. But to be honest, whilst there's been certainly a reasonable amount of changes that have come through, for the most part, as you'll see, because I'm sharing them in the text in the screen in the background, they relate to minor tweaks. And I didn't think it would be engaging enough basically to just kind of show, right, okay, the text from this particular button or whatever has been fixed because it used to overlap on the previous version and that sort of thing. And of course, whilst reading it on the screen, there is a link to the change log, you can just go straight there as well if you want. Just kind of tap it into Google. I'm sure you've got a link to it as well if you need to see the particular change log. But yeah, just kind of like glancing through the list. Yeah, a lot of kind of little kind of minor stuff. The keyboard input option for CDUs and the keyboard input option for MFDs. I think I spoke about this at the start of the video, but I think those are potentially what wipes my keybinds, which was a bit annoying because I know I should have sorted out a profile and stuff like that, but yeah, they just seem to go. So I've had to sort of start from scratch with that one, which is like a little bit annoying, but I guess it's kind of my problem to fix it. When it talks about the option of like using lower resolution textures for the cockpit and cargo hold, now I imagine that's from a performance perspective, just to make the aircraft, I suppose, graphically, the way it kind of performs in DCS kind of work a bit better. But yeah, it's gonna again depend on each individual's setup, isn't it? How well spec your computer and your connection to, especially things like multiplayer and that sort of thing, is. And then kind of roll through to like the 1st of June sort of update. Again, it's talking about the overlapping text. Yeah, we've kind of seen that. We saw that as we went through the CDU updates. There was a reasonable amount of changes that came through with the later couple of updates, I suppose, in terms of the leg data, a little tweak to the HSI digital map. The one that did kind of stick out, and I thought this is again worth talking about from like a player perspective, is they changed it so you can it can embark only 24 troops instead of 44. Now there's clearly a reason for it. Realistically though, you can put 44 troops in the back of a Chinook if you wanted to. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, you go back to like Bravo November in the Falklands, you could put double that amount if you really wanted to in the back of a Chinook. 24, I mean, yeah, okay, if you got the troops like sat on the bench seats down either side, and I don't know, you want their bags in the middle or cargo in the middle or something like that, alright, yeah, fine. But in reality, you could set it such that the bench seats would push up to the side and you could have plenty more troops in the back. But yeah, maybe it's more of like a how the sim sort of operates as opposed to the reality side of things, I guess. And then we move on to the most recent update, which dropped on the 13th of August. And that came as part of the DCS core update, so DCS 2.5.19. Was that 13478? And in that one, so one of the things that it said that they added is a ground detent position for the thrust control lever, aka the collective, which I must admit. Maybe it's something that kind of impacted other people necessarily, but I didn't really notice that as being a thing. And then the other bits, so fix that MFD airspeed readouts, only displayed ground speed. Okay, yeah, can see how you'd want to change that. And then again, a couple of little tiny sort of tweaks. So you can see it on the screen. So overall, then there's certainly been a lot of changes on the avionics front, and if you look at all of this as a whole, so the updates going all the way back to June to now, they're all about pretty much the avionics side of things, which is good. you know, we talked about the roadmap before and how they're slowly kind of tweaking things and adding that sort of thing. But I think from a player's perspective, especially for a module that's been out for over a year now, I think players would be looking for something a bit more substantial by now. I appreciate obviously getting the flight model to work, because what we had initially, whilst it looked like a Chinook, it certainly didn't fly like a Chinook for sure. And we went through various kind of videos, and then we discovered Bob, and then we realized we don't necessarily have to use Bob. They enabled the guns, which is brilliant. But yeah, there'd be a lot of people that would be thinking, okay, when are we going to be able to triple hook and put more stuff in the back and things like that. So let's see what's coming up. But yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye bye.